2018 was the year of the Panther in the MCU, with such highs as T'Challa taking the throne and such lows as his falling victim to the snap. Nobody could have predicted that just 2 years later, life would imitate art with the sudden passing of Chadwick Boseman. Which is why Black Panther: Wakanda Forever was heavily billed as the tribute for a king and the character he played on screen. Except, this film isn't a tribute. At least, not completely. Make no mistake, it's one of the strongest Phase 4 entries, and without question the best MCU film of 2022. But it's not without its flaws, all of which raise the question, whose film is this? Phase 4 has dealt with two main themes, the passing of the torch, as well as coping with significant loss. And Wakanda Forever finds itself juggling both, in addition to honoring Chadwick Boseman's legacy and furthering the overall narrative of the MCU. Case in point, there's a lot going on in this film, and its pacing doesn't do it any favors. Before we can fully grasp that we've lost T'Challa, we're rushed through his funeral and subsequent burial, all before the Marvel Studios intro. Pair that with a 1-year time jump that happens in the blink of an eye, and within the first 15 minutes, we meet the Na'vi. I mean, Namor's people. Let's just say things quickly become formulaic, where we have our conflict, our villain, and our connective threads to other MCU projects. Some of these connective threads work well, like the introduction of Namor and Riri Williams, possibly even too well, as they're arguably the most compelling aspects of the film, again raising the question, whose film is it anyway? Wakanda finds itself taking a back seat as we jump from one location to the next. And though we don't spend that much time in Talokan, it certainly has great potential for further exploration, even if its overall design is lackluster for what's supposed to be an advanced civilization that rivals Wakanda. Admittedly, Namor's motives do come across as a little wet behind the ears. His conflict stems from wanting to remain hidden from the world, but then decides he wants Wakanda's help to wage war against the world? Be that as it may, there are other connective threads present that don't work at all, like the return of Everett Ross and the unveiling of Val as the new director of the CIA. After seeing her pop up throughout Phase 4, this reveal wasn't quite the big twist they were making it out to be. The two could have been cut altogether, and the story wouldn't have suffered in the slightest. Now, it's not just pacing or ties to other MCU projects that muddy the water, but also repetitive plot points and action sequences. The car chase is directly lifted from the first Black Panther, not to mention, Namor's attack on Wakanda seems almost comical with the use of bath bombs, compared to the much bigger assault made by Thanos and the Black Order. Some of the conflict from Civil War is rehashed, with Namor killing Ramonda, much like Zemo killing T'Chaka, which doesn't hit the way it should. With loss being such an overused theme in Phase 4, Ramonda's death reads as just another casualty. But more than any of these setbacks, we need to talk about our new Black Panther, Shuri. So much of this film revolves around Shuri's inner struggle. We know her to be a woman of science, but when she finds a way to synthesize the heart-shaped herb, she doesn't find what she's looking for in the ancestral plane. We end up watching her go through a super condensed hero's journey, coming very close to killing Namor, before ultimately putting her people first. But when everything is said and done, Shuri doesn't feel like the next Black Panther as much as a stand-in for T'Challa's son. And that's not to say Shuri isn't a good character, but by the end of the film, we're really left wondering just how long will she uphold the mantle. All in all, Wakanda Forever is a good film. The performances are undoubtedly the most genuine, sincere performances this cast could have delivered. And Ryan Coogler should be commended for taking on such an unimaginable task as making this film. While it has its occasional speed bumps, it certainly offers heartfelt moments that pay respect to Chadwick Boseman and T'Challa. The Wakandans choose to view death as something celebratory instead of sad. And we as an audience are reminded on more than one occasion that death is not the end, which means we can all take solace in knowing that both our king and the character he played live on.